We live in an age of unparalleled technological superiority, and yet the problems are unending. It begs the question, are we really so advanced? Possessing the technological capability to do something isn't sufficient in the organization of a civilization, or even one's own life, for the technology can be used in an endless number of ways. So, how do we determine how to use a technological capability? This is where the conversation becomes incredibly philosophical, as this is a foundational question of existence. To what should our energy be directed? This question relates to every single aspect of our lives, all the time, even if we don't know it. Let me explain. In your personal life, theoretically, you could act in a variety of ways, but not all potential actions are equally viable. So, how do you determine what action to take? Firstly, let's discuss how we go about judging any phenomena. I'll use the example of trying to judge what workout program to use. I want to choose a workout program, but how do I decide which one to pick? Well, firstly, I would need to determine what my goal is. If my goal is to increase muscle size, then I would opt for a workout program specializing in hypertrophy. Similarly, if I wanted to increase my cardiovascular fitness, I might not choose a HIIT program, high intensity interval training program, or some other kind of combat sports class. This is all to say that our aim creates the frame of reference within which potential actions are judged as being better or worse. So, how then might I assess what course of action to take in life? Firstly, I need to determine what I am moving towards. Which begs the question, what is the best thing to move towards? This is a question that is sure to stir up an intense debate and controversy, for each have their own answer to this. This question is the reason polytheism is a feature of human existence, though I personally don't agree with it. The concept of what we should move towards is also known by other names and terms such as, quote, God, little g, idol, highest value, North Star, most important thing, guiding principle, and so on. People answer the question of what should be the highest value in a multitude of ways. For example, for some, their highest value is money. They see money as the most important thing and that all of their actions should fall in alignment with the outcome of acquiring more money. Others answer this question with sex and hedonism. They believe that all of their life should be devoted to the acquisition of sexual pleasure and hedonistic desire. Many answer this question as communism, believing that if we only achieve the communist utopia, then everything will be fine. Others answer this question as Hinduism, Islam, or Christianity. Some other examples of how people answer this question include feminism, veganism, transgenderism, and queerness, neoliberalism, athletic performance, and bodybuilding. Another that you may not have thought of is the love and worship of oneself. All actions in one's life fall in alignment with producing the outcome of self-aggrandizement and self-worship, a cult of one. This, in my view, is one of, if not the worst of them all. For it is my view that the love of self is the cause for all evil. This love of self can be also known as pride. Now that you have a better understanding about how many people have and continue to answer the question of to what we should aspire, that is, what should be our highest value, let's address the question of in what manner should technological capability be utilized. To reiterate, merely possessing the capability to do something is not sufficient for the organization of either a civilization or a person. Our capabilities must be directed towards an end. To address the question of how we must harness our technological capabilities, we must address the question of social cohesion, as they are branches of the same tree. Let me explain. What determines whether a mass of people is either a crowd or a group? Firstly, definitions. A crowd is disorganized, and a group is organized. So, what defines the organization? The organization is defined by the end to which that group is directed. For example, a football club is organized to better move towards the end of winning football matches. A company towards profit. A protest towards political outcomes. This is all to say that social cohesion is a result of the organization towards a unitive principle, that is, an ultimate and shared aim. One cannot achieve social cohesion without the agreement on the ultimate end, the highest value, or, to be said in another manner, the idol or God. But how does this relate to the appropriate utilization of technological capability? To determine how technology is to be utilized, we first must determine how our society must be organized. That is, what is the highest value that binds us together? We cannot answer the former without first answering the latter. This is the crux of the modern problem. We are severely divided as people, united only by economics. We are united only by our shared selfish desires for material prosperity. But is this really enough to bind us together as a society? If the only binding function is shared desire for increased personal benefit, how do we solve problems that have no economic benefit to anyone? For example, homelessness, morality, more specifically, lack thereof, wealth inequality, poor quality of life, living as a human cog in an industrial machine, and so on. And what happens when the economic environment begins to worsen? Would this not further erode social cohesion, as the only binding function is degraded in potency? What happens to a society when inflation increases, jobs become more scarce because of robotic automation and artificial intelligence, and wealth inequality continues on an uphill trajectory? Could worsening economic conditions lead to anything but civil conflict? In conclusion, the question of how we should wield our technological capabilities is necessarily intertwined with the question of how to resolve the problem of social cohesion. Merely possessing the ability to do something is not enough in and of itself to create an ordered and coherent society. We must know why we are doing something. We must have a clear and shared vision about what all of our actions are aiming towards. Thanks for listening.